Okay, so I wanted to make a video about how it is to have dreads with mixed race hair. I would say mine is probably about type 3C, if you want to go via types. It's a bit thin, sorry, it's a bit fine, but there's quite a bit of hair there. I'm going to talk about my startup method, maintenance, any issues I had, and then how they are now. So I've had them for about 10 months now. I started them with sort of finger coils, I don't know how to comb coils, so I just sort of twisted them in my finger, put them in bantu knots. I'd leave them overnight to sort of set, and then they'd last for about 2 weeks. I had my sister do the sectioning, so it's done in sort of a bricklayer pattern, and around sort of here is where we sectioned it off, and then I did the front part of it, so they're a bit smaller than the rest of them. So I didn't back comb or crochet or anything, I just did them. I figured I'd leave them and it'd be fine. I had my hair in twists before anyway, so I thought it would be sort of a better gradual change and there wouldn't be much difference. People wouldn't be asking too many questions. Back combed hair, straight off the bat, normally looked a bit rough and ready. So I thought it might be a bit easier to go with finger coils to start off with. I didn't really see any progress until month 3. I had a few in the front and a couple in the back that started to lock. Even now, I'm hoping I'm going to make a lot of progress in the next 2 months, but even now they've still got quite a bit to go. This is how I normally wear my hair, so I thought I'd show you that first. I did try and wear it down to sort of ease off the pressure, and I was beginning to wonder if maybe having my hair up all the time was preventing some of them from locking, because, you know, I had a tight band in, so I started wearing them down, and since I've started wearing them up again for work and things, and because it's just too warm at the moment, so I need to have it off my neck, I have been finding that I've been getting sort of like irritation bumps right at the front. Even if I try and sort of loosen it up, it doesn't really seem to work. But I shall take them down so you can see how they are. Oh, mirror image, confusing. I don't know if it's very visible on the camera, but even if I take out sort of the front chunk-ish, like, you know, I'll double check with the mirror. This side is actually locked sort of a lot more. I have a few that haven't locked that much yet, so while I have others which have shrunk, for example, it's not that one, this one, oh, that one? No, this one, here it is, hiding. This one's probably shrunk and dreaded the most. Might just try and get some paper behind it so you can see it a bit easier. Still got some loops in there, so that still needs to go in. The bottom of it is particularly thick compared to the rest of it. It was actually 2, but then I thought, when it started locking, I actually realised it's quite thin and decided to combine it, so it's actually quite a big, if you can see, it's quite a fairly big section, but it's at the, you know, it's at the front, it's near my hairline, my hair's quite thin there anyway. That's probably my most locked one, and my hair has gone through a fair amount of shrinkage, and I think that's probably a feature of sort of having mixed race curly hair. That seems to happen quite a lot. I have one that's barely locked. It's done a bit at the end, just from there. But otherwise, you know, it's, you can't even see it goes beyond the camera, but it's literally like, you know, twice the length of all my others. And it's not even particularly thin compared to those, it just seems to be taking its time. In terms of maintenance, I would wash and retwist every 2 weeks. For the first few months, it was really a case of having to sort of untangle them, because I tried to mesh together. So it was a bit hard during the first few months to sort of keep them apart. They did get sort of a bit messy and fuzzy a few months in, so I wore sort of scarves and headbands a lot just to cover the sort of front bit of it. They're a bit more established now. They've got a bit more weight to them. Like, most of mine have started dreading from the bottom and sort of working their way up. Most of them are sort of maybe halfway done, maybe a third of the way. So they've got sort of enough weight to them now to sort of keep them down if I want them to stay down. So that's sort of a nice change. The product I used to retwist with, it's just a leave-in conditioner that I found in a supermarket in France. I used to use Sunsilk frizz control something or other, but a few years ago they stopped selling it, and I found this product by chance in a cafe in France, and I've been using it ever since. And I'm slightly French, so I'm there, you know, frequently enough that I can, you know, pick some up. I normally buy like 6 bottles or so, and then that lasts for a while. So yeah, I would just wash and retwist about every 2 weeks. I could not do it any less frequently. I did feel a bit uneasy about starting with that, because I thought maybe it would be too much tension on my hair. But with my hair type, it would have just been impossible to leave it any longer. My hair needed to be washed by that point, and I couldn't not do anything to it, because my hair just would have been a big mess, and I would have ended up with a chunk of dreads there, and it would have been a massive mess. In hindsight, I wish I started off with backcombing. I didn't really originally think that it would be too much of a change, but I think my hair would have progressed a lot more if I had started with that method, and that's something I would suggest to you as well, if you've sort of got hair like mine and you're thinking of dreading, because I find that what I'm doing now, it just seems to have taken forever. I had a few in the front that just weren't doing anything. I'm going to try and find them. So I decided to backcomb them, and they've progressed a lot more. I think it's these two. Oh, it's just so confusing, and they've see if that helps. They have started like dreading a lot more, and I only did that in about July time. And I've made, you know, it's just the start of August now. Maybe it was June. I think maybe I did about June, but they've progressed so much in that time. So I wish that I did my whole hair like that, because I feel like as a whole my hair would have progressed a lot more. You know, I'm sort of a few months off a year, and I'm nowhere near being fully locked. I know that won't be mature by now, but I was sort of hoping I'd be able to wash my hair without having to retwist them, but that's not really an option at the moment. Something that I don't feel like is necessarily noted upon enough is the texture of your hair will really change. Like if I touch sort of parts that aren't quite locked yet, it's sort of smooth and squidgy, and then when it gets to this sort of locked part, but the texture just isn't quite as soft anymore. I have to say I do miss that. It's a bit sort of, just sort of a bit coarser. I have still been conditioning, because I only started deep conditioning approximately 9 months before I started locking, and I noticed a massive retain in length. My hair literally, it was about shoulder length, and then it became probably about bra strap length, because just because I did deep conditioning, and it really helped retain my length. And you know, locks are still hair; they still need to be cared of. Yeah, it is said that it should be sort of dry, sort of the optimum, but it's still hair. You still want it to be healthy, even if my hair's going to take an extra 6 months or so to lock. Just because I've been conditioning it, I would rather that and have healthy hair than dry, horrible hair. So yeah, you will notice a change in texture, which people don't normally tell you about. You will also notice, like at the bottom, you won't be able to see it on camera, but you'll sort of see like little white bulbs. And I've tried putting them off and you can't. I mean, you feel like they're really noticeable, but I don't think they really are to other people as much as we think they are. And they're basically just, you know, because locks are essentially made up of shed hair. So it's just the root of the shed hair that's in the lock. So there's nothing to worry about with that. If you have them, you shouldn't worry about them at all. I did dye my hair actually a few of the ends before I started, thinking I'd rather dye it before than wait, you know, so many months afterwards. But actually I found that a lot of the colour was lost because my hair shrunk so much, so the colour just disappeared. And you'll be able to see that in a few of the photos as well. So when I had them for about 4 months, you could still see the colour in them, and then a few months later they just sort of disappeared into sort of the core of the lock. Yeah. Yeah, here's one. if you were to see it very well. But I dyed the ends of it, and then as it shrunk, it just sort of disappeared and went into it. So you can see a peek of it just at the bottom, but most of them you can't really see at all. They're just like little flecks, really. One thing I'll say, I found lint to be more of a problem than I really anticipated. I get cold quite easy, and I like to wear hats and scarves and things. And I found that, you know, hats were leaving lint in my hair, so then I for most of winter I just sort of wore a green headband, so none of it got into my hair. Tried to put my hair up quite high so it didn't go into my scarf either, but then I mean, my crown is already quite a bit thin, to be honest, and I got a bit worried about sort of leaving hair there, so I would try, and when I was indoors I'd try and take my scarf off and then my headband off, loosen my hair a little bit, because especially here, if you wear a headband sort of all the time, it really does sort of hurt your hairline, I found anyway, and I'm not someone who's tender-headed, so just for the sake of your hairline and your edges, I would not wear a scarf or a headband, you know, too frequently. You know, at least if you're going to wear it to work or school or whatever, while it's cold, do so, but then when you get in, make sure you take it off. Yeah, and just in terms of lint, you know, even when I thought I was being careful, I'd find like little like green or grey flecks or something in my hair. So what I do for that is just sort of shake my hair every morning, and then every now and again, especially before I wash it, just get like a baby brush. I think I have it over here somewhere. Just get a baby brush. You can see that okay? I got this in Boots. You get like a little comb with it as well. I think it was like 90p or something. They're very cheap, but they're very like soft bristles. You don't want to get like a ball bristle brush yet, because your hair won't be sort of mature enough to take that. So I would just separate my hair into sections to make sure I really got to all of them properly, and you know, I just brush through them. Every now and again I'd go through and look at every single one, just to make sure that there wasn't too much of lint build up. I did find some, especially in the back few, especially this one. I always find a lot of lint in that one. So I ended up like combing it out and then sort of starting it again. That's all I have to say about the moment. So I will hopefully see you in next month. I'm going to try and make this a regular thing so I can sort of document how my hair is progressing. And mainly, sort of for myself, but also when I was trying to research, it was extremely difficult to find information about what to do if you had sort of like really curly hair. Like there was information if you had sort of straight textured hair, or you know, a bit wavy, you could essentially do it in the same way, and then afro hair, but there wasn't really anything for in between, and it made it really difficult to choose a method, like a starting method. I think in the end, looking at more African hair geared forums was really helpful in terms of maintenance. But in terms of startup methods, I mean, I didn't want to go with interlocking because partly of my texture. I feel like I don't have very thick hair, so I didn't want to do something that would already give it the appearance of being thinner. Seen in a few other people's videos where they've sort of gone for maybe interlocking to just twisting, you know, with their maintenance, and they can visibly see that where they interlocked it, it was thinner and tighter, and you know, I didn't want to do that because I felt you know, I don't want to make them thinner because I thought my hair was already going to be thin. And I read a bit of conflicting things about interlocking, especially if your hair isn't like afro hair. And I was afraid of doing it wrong. And twisting is something that I already did, so you know, I knew how to do it. It's hard been maintaining my hair for the past like 5-6 years, so I was very used to it. So for me, that was sort of the natural thing to go to. But as I said, in hindsight, I wish I started with back combing.